I also want to make it very clear that my current lawyer has had his hands tied by my brother's stalling inactivity, which is a game that he's been playing for, forever, 18 years. Very good at it. He just doesn't answer the phone, doesn't answer the letters. He's got a contempt of court for not uh, making an accounting, and he's been fighting and stalling to try to make the state pay for an accounting, of which he's the one who committed the income tax fraud, and he's the one who took all the rent, and he's the one who didn't pay the property taxes. And we're supposed to pay for an accountant out of thin air. They're going to figure out where he blew the money. Anyway, the Law Society in Sudbury, Legal Society in Sudbury, sent a copy of my Facebook post and stuff to my current lawyer, and they're mad at me. Well, excuse me, I'm the victim here, and the laws have made every one of these crimes that I have endured since the day I was born legal. And, I want to make it very clear that you can't be blaming my current lawyer for what my last two lawyers did. And David Innes, my first lawyer on the real estate properties. I'm not talking about John Ryan that I worked with at City Hall, and I'm not talking about the wonderful lawyers that I worked with in Toronto. I'm talking about fraud. And I'm talking about the police not doing their job. Because if they had even bothered to investigate, okay, a lot of what was done by secret filing, and that's legal. But income tax fraud is not legal, and stealing rental income as an executor is not legal, and stealing title to the matrimonial home is not legal, and the police wouldn't lay a charge. They did get me a copy of how he got title on the property. But, the police chief's attitude was, make the bitch pay for it, put it in civil court. I'm not going to have the taxpayers pay for it. Screw her. Yeah. So get it straight, people. It's got nothing to do with my current lawyer. And it doesn't have nothing to do with lawyers that are really decent. I'm talking about the laws, and I'm talking about the police, and I'm talking about fraud. Okay, I'm starting another video, and this one is Real Estate Rights, number 3, Wills, Estates, and Heirs. And I'm also going to do it on my GoPro. I don't know which is going to be better, but this is about what you should know and what not to do. If you're an heir in a will that state you get money, but it requires the real estate to be sold to get your money, here's what not to do. I am starting this with all the mistakes I made in the hopes of saving someone from the grief and bankruptcy I wound up with. Excuse me, I got to shut this door. Sorry about that. And this is going to be a long video, so if you're not interested, go to something else. We have a saying in AA, learn from the mistakes of others. You won't live long enough to make them all yourself. Well, I can do nothing about what happened to me, but what I can do is perhaps maybe save somebody else. Number 1, get your own lawyer who is knowledgeable on both real estate law, wills, and estates to protect your interests. I did not know as an heir I had the right to do that. I had been ill for many years, and my real estate knowledge was non-existent. So I was starting out just like any worker, any laborer, not educated. And this is really, they're the most vulnerable. My mother was a registered owner, a surviving spouse, and still living, so I thought only she had the right to a lawyer. Second mistake I made was allowing my mother to manipulate me into keeping my father's lawyer as her lawyer. Don't fall into that trap, because as the lawyer of the deceased, he has his first loyalty to the person who died, not you, and there is much he cannot tell you because of the confidentiality and conflict of interest. 3. Demand a copy of the will immediately and demand the will be probated immediately. Do not allow an executor to take their time. 4. File for partition to sell whether your surviving heirs or spouse, mother, father, like it or not. My mother was a victim of abuse and violence and terrified to go against my brother, who was the executor of my father's will. It was 6 years before the will got probated, and I had to pay personally to get it done. Had I a lawyer, it would have been paid by the estate, not me. 5. Get an appraisal from a real estate agent, and if there are any offers, present them in writing to your lawyer and force the sale. 6. Don't let a lawyer waste time, money, and years trying to get an accounting when there's rental income. After 10 years, my brother and his accountant continued to refuse to give an accounting. And then another 3 years playing around in court, and finally I never got it until I paid $1,400, $1,400 to a separate accountant. And then even though it proved my brother had committed income tax fraud, neither the police cared, the government did not care, and facing a public auction, I was forced to sell our matrimonial home in duress for a fraction of its worth, to stop the exorbitant property taxes from doubling that had been in arrears for several years without our being notified. That's another right I thought we had, but don't. City Hall Tax Department can do whatever the hell they like. And unless you go direct and check yourself every year, you will not be notified of property tax arrears. Their charges of interest on the interest is a system that you think only crooks in money laundering can charge so quickly. You will lose the value of the property to the city. And that's not a joke, people. It's unbelievable. Arrears of only $12,000 in less than 3 years became $75,000. And to this day, I'm not good with numbers. I don't know how but that's what happened. It was unbelievable. Getting rid of a negligent executor is all but impossible in Ontario law, as they have the right to take ownership title. Yes, they can put their name on title. That's Ontario law. I don't know about the rest of Canada, but on top of that, in secret, and that's in all the provinces of Canada but Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta. And that's on another subject that I have in another place about secret filings, so don't get me started there. And neither registered owners, survivors, or heirs have the right to be notified in Ontario and Newfoundland, Maritimes, British Columbia, Quebec. Yeah, that's British law, which is Canadian law. Ownership rights, if there is no surviving spouse, means that the executor can sell without your knowledge as well. And don't kid yourself, they do it all the time and get away with it. I'm going to do that on a different video. There's a story I'm going to tell you on that one. Ownership rights gave my brother such control he was able to embezzle the rental income from his own pocket, commit income tax fraud, declaring my mother received rent which she did not. Furthermore, I had our lawyer, my mother's lawyer, from day one confirmed to my brother's accountant that she did not get any rental income from 2008 right up until 2015. And nevertheless, the accountant and my brother persisted in committing income tax fraud, and with no charges ever having been laid against either one. Instead of trying to cooperate in getting an accounting, had I filed for partition to sell, forcing the sale, the 11-plex would have sold for $800,000 in 2008. I had a buyer. We would have then discovered that the registry office made an error and put the matrimonial home and apartment building on the same lot, and it would have had to be severed, all of which the estate would have to pay for, not me or my mother. We would still own our 4-bedroom house, and the duplex could have been purchased by me from my share. Do not believe that you can win in court if filing has all been done in secret. That is legal. Severance of joint tenancy in secret is legal in Ontario and most of Canada without consent, except Saskatchewan. 10. Do not depend on your lawyer for documents. Go to the provincial registry in your own province and get your own copy of all documents. The cost is pennies compared to the $15,000 one lawyer charged me. The other cost me $70,000, and to this day no charges have been laid. My new lawyer has charged me $7,000 so far, and also no charges have been laid. I learned too late that trying to get justice in a corrupt legal system is a stupid idea. Okay, so there's a lot as an heir you can do on your own. Don't depend on a lawyer to have all the knowledge, because even if he has it, they may not tell you. And in most cases, they don't tell you, because that's what happened to me 4 lawyers later. I found most of the information I got from a lawyer in Newfoundland, frankly, on a blog, and another lawyer in British Columbia on a blog, 2 lawyers in Ontario on a blog, and from the Saskatchewan government, who were really wonderful and gave me copies of their statutes. And Manitoba and Alberta also cooperated. Okay, that's it, people. Over and out. I'm choking. That's the allergies. So I hope you learned something, people.